So you believe that the college system in America is rigged? Is that what you said? Is that what you believe?
That's what I said. I made a few attempts in going to college, and it's really designed for employees. I mean, if you think about it, going through college, going through school is designed for you to end up in a job, end up working for someone else and building in corporate America. It's not designed for free thinking entrepreneurs and people going out on their own.
So okay, us kind of dig into that a little bit because I don't necessarily disagree with you. As a matter of fact, I'm a former school teacher and I have 2 degrees, and I'm not using either one of them directly. Although I guess you could argue that indirectly, I'm using both my degrees as a business coach and speaker today. But when we talk about setting people up to become employees, which I think is an interesting point, why do you believe that it's set up for an employee system rather than an entrepreneur system? Because I agree with you, but why do you believe that?
Well, in my experience, I mean, the information is very targeted. I mean, it's where I see the benefit is it teaches you how to learn how to research, but it doesn't teach you how to think for yourself and how to to take deductive reasoning so much. Like,
Yeah, so I'm making some notes on this because I think the college system being rigged, it's teaching you to pass a test. You know, when you're a real estate guy, right? I mean, you guys work together when you're investing together as a real estate. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think? But on a test in school, it's like you have to do this alone, and if you ask your neighbor what he thinks about it, that's called cheating. But that's not how the real world works, is it?
well, in school, you're given the information and you take a test. You get the lesson, then you have the test. In real life, you have the test, and then you get the lesson from the test. That make sense?
Oh, that's good. That's gold, Mark. I like that. I like that a lot. Well, we're talking with Marc Ruiz today. He is the former president of the Tulsa Real Estate Investors Association, as well as a house flipper. He's a millionaire landlord. He is a mentor, coach, and motivator, and he is remodeled personally over 600 houses in Oklahoma, and he currently owns over 200 units. He's all in on the real estate market in Oklahoma. Specifically, what he's doing now is he's trying to figure out how to work with 1,000 investors, high net worth people, how they can get into real estate as a way to have a better investment. So I'm sure there's some interesting things there. But one of the things, Mark, that you mentioned, and we talked about this pre-show, is that you talk about how you can take the guesswork out of your investors who come with you on how much money they'll make. And let me be very frank. That is one of the reasons I'm not more in real estate. I'm not like I don't know how much money I'm going to make. So how do you take the guesswork out of that?
So, we've been doing this for. I've been doing this since I was 21 years old. I started with Robert Allen with no money down, and I've evolved over the years, and I've tried most every facet of real estate. It is hard to predict, like flipping houses. Flipping houses is great, but it's active work and it's hard to predict. It's hard to sustain. Going into rentals is a little bit more predictable, but then you still have the remodel side of it. You have the construction, and there's still variables. Build to rent, new construction, turnkey rentals it's much more predictable. It's much more repeatable. It's much more scalable. We're building a new product. We're following the same plans, and we're just rinsing and repeating at this point.
So if I come to you and say, look, I've got X number of dollars to invest. I don't know what number you would want somebody to invest, but if they got $100,000 to invest, $200,000 to invest, how much money can you make me, Mark? You can show them a plan. Say, okay, if you invest this much dollars, you should see cash flow this amount. Your investment should appreciate this amount. You'll make this much. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. So the one thing that we've learned over the years, the days of you still make good money flipping houses. The days of actually like making money and living off your rental income with the current rates and the market conditions has become very difficult. So we've had to change the way that we look at things and the way that we approach it. That's, we went from remodeling to new construction. We went to new construction because we're able to control more of the process. Everything is new. Everything is under warranty. So when you come into the build to rent space, you eliminate all your capital expenditures for the next 5 to 10 years. Like just off the top, everything is new. Everything is under warranty. You eliminate most of your maintenance because everything is also new. And what we do is we're the builders and we warranty our work, and then we manage the property. We handle the maintenance. We handle the process all the way through. So we really simplify it for people. But going into the new environment allows us to bypass a lot of the guesswork. Makes
So
sense.
when you, but I mean, is that really repeatable everywhere? I mean, I know that seems like it's probably working there, but is that repeatable for all investors?
So in theory, it depends on the market, depends on where you're at. We're looking at the build to rent, the work entry level workforce type housing, affordable housing, which affordable is very relative these days because what we could afford 5 years ago and what we can afford today are not the same. And what still baffles my mind is people can't afford to buy a house at these rates, but they're able to pay rent on higher rents than what the mortgage would be. But anyhow, so back to with the rental properties. I mean, you're looking at a marginal. You make decent money, cash on cash for your return. Where rentals are really beneficial is a tax shelter, having those write-offs and be able to offset income, earned income, and then writing the appreciation. So, if we look at a 5 or 10 year model, so you buy a new construction, you don't have any major expenses other than your tenant maintenance. You depreciate it, you pay down the mortgage, you ride the appreciation, and then in 5 to 10 years, you take your exit, you roll 1031 into something new, and you repeat the process. So you're able to keep those tax benefits, go into larger assets, but you're more or less you're building wealth. You're not getting rich, you're building wealth. Makes sense. There's
Yeah. Well, there is a very big difference between getting rich and building wealth. I mean, if you want to not be poor, there's certain things you do. If you want to be rich, there's certain things you do. If you want to build wealth, there's other things you do. And it seems to me like real estate has been one of those things historically that if you want to build wealth, that's where you got to be. And that's why you started at age 21.
Well, so flipping houses and active income. I mean, it's still a job. But it's a high paying job, and you can get rich doing it. Where the wealth part comes in is where you're making money without active participation. Now, the key word is passive income, which we don't believe there's no real such thing as passive income. I mean, there is turnkey income. The difference is passive is implies there's no work being done for the money being earned, which is partially true if you do it correctly. But at the same time, if you're in the wrong investment and you're not supervising it, you're not having somebody that is professionally managing your investment, your passive income, at some point it's going to turn and it's going to end up recapturing all that income for management, tenant turnover, um, tenant just what's the word I'm looking for? Damage. I mean, there's lots of things that are unaccounted for. So if you're not careful, that passive income, if you're not watching it, you're not monitoring it, you lose it. So we believe in turnkey income. The difference is the work has to be done, but no one says you have to do the work. Just like money. I mean, money has to be spent in real estate, but no one says it has to be your money. So
Hmm.
you leverage and turnkey. Somebody else is professionally managing and monitoring and working these properties. So the work is still being done. It's just not being done by you.
So let's go back to that college discussion. So you believe it's rigged. It's to setting people up to be employees, not entrepreneurs. Is there a place where people can go to learn how to do this turnkey income, passive income, real estate in college? I mean, it would seem to me like learning on the job is always better, but could we design programs to teach kids coming out of high school how to get into real estate the real way?
I would like to think so. I mean, we're working, and this is why we put together Rugged Real Estate in our mastermind. Is we're working to help um, investors understand this process. I mean, the building process, once you understand it, is very simple and very predictable, very repeatable, and very scalable. The same is true on the turnkey side. Is once you buy in and you're investing and you're working with providers and professional management, you're just rinsing and repeating the process. So yes, there is a way to systematize it and provide the information. It's just a matter of being taught publicly and
Yeah.
getting.
So you've got the ruggedrealestateinvestors.com, ruggedrealestateinvestors.com, which is a mastermind of people to get in and learn how to do this. Are you suggesting that this is something that somebody could come with no experience right out of high school, maybe dropped out of college, that they could do it? Or is this designed for a more sophisticated investor?
I'm not saying they couldn't do it, they can't do it. I mean, I did it. It's very possible.
Yeah, you
Um,
did.
but our target demographic currently is having some level of experience and some level of resources that are able to come in and do something. Because, like I said, no one says it has to be your money invested in real estate, but there has to be money. You have to have access to money and have some resources. So, I'm not saying that you can't start from nothing working from the way up, but it is more challenging. Now, the caveat to that is building the right relationships, being in the right rooms, and networking with the right people.
And isn't that the beauty of the mastermind itself? I mean, that is getting in the right room, being around the right people, knowing that there's an aspiration. And I think that, I think to a degree, if we want to go back to our college discussion, is that I think to a degree, college can provide some of that. Like you can get around people and be exposed to new ideas that you wouldn't have otherwise been exposed to, which may have been part of the benefits of the college experience. But what you're learning in the classroom isn't really as beneficial as maybe getting in the room with the people that you want to be like and learning from people who've done it and say, okay, can I do it? And what's funny about this, Mark, is that I had a former employee of mine who had a degree in entrepreneurship. And he was, out of all the people who worked for me, probably the least entrepreneurial. Now, that doesn't mean he was a bad employee. As a matter of fact, it was quite the contrary. He was a great employee. But a degree in entrepreneurship, like what? Who taught the classes? Who's doing that? I mean, did they ever start a business? And so, if you went and got a degree in real estate investing, did you get a degree from somebody like you who's built a multi-million-dollar net worth on real estate, or did you learn it from a guy who's just teaching it? I think that's, you're right. We got to get in the right rooms, and I think masterminds are probably a better way to do it than in the college. So, tell us a little bit more about rugged real estate in the mastermind.
Let's take a quick break to thank our amazing sponsors for making this podcast possible.
Hey, listeners, a quick message here about something that's been a game changer for my business, and that is Dubb, spelled D-U-B-B. I have been a loyal user of Dubb since they started. I think it was back in 2017, 2018, and I can't say enough good things about their video email platform. With Dubb, I can send personalized video emails that let my energy come through, making every message more engaging. And whether I'm introducing myself to a prospect, connecting people, which is one cool thing that I do with it, or sharing important updates with my clients, Dubb makes it easy and effective. It brings the personal back to sales. Now, here's the best part. They are one of my sponsors of this podcast, and without them, I wouldn't be able to bring this amazing content I bring to you every single week. Because they're a sponsor here, they're offering a special deal just for my listeners. You can head over to therealjasonduncan.com/Dubb. That's therealjasonduncan.com/Dubb, and that's D-U-B-B. And you're going to get 50% off your first 2 months. This is your chance to revolutionize your email game and your video game. Trust me, Dubb has closed more deals for me than anything else. Give it a try. See the difference.
Thanks for listening to our sponsors. Now, back to the show.
So the mastermind, I mean, the idea is putting together a room of people who are on who are on the similar mission, who want to build. I'm surrounding myself with people who want to build stuff, and then we're utilizing and leveraging off of each other's experience. It's not just me in front of the room talking about my last 20 years. There's collectively 100+ years of experience in the room. So we're may not have the same experience, may not have the design and the blueprint of the building, but there's so many other variables and so many other lessons, life lessons that are learned, and there's the obstacles. You still have all entrepreneurs, all investors have the same fundamental problems. Now they come in different appearances, they're dressed differently, but fundamentally they're all basically the same. And what we offer as a collective is a third party perspective on how to, when you're grinding and you're working and that you're in front of that obstacle, it looks like a boulder. But from a third party, you can see that it's just a minor change, a little 2 millimeter adjustment that can get you past that. Having being on the other side and not actively grinding on it, we can see things differently, and we offer a different perspective.
And that's 100% right on point. So for the listeners out there that are considered what a benefit of a coach is, or benefit of a mastermind, what you just listed is exactly what it's right. It's about perspective, because where you're going, you're on a certain path. You look and what you think is a boulder. That's a person with a different perspective is like, hey man, if you take 1 inch step to the right, you're fine. Like it's that easy, man. You just do it where you can't see anything past this obstacle in front of you. That's why masterminds are great. I love that you're doing that. When you started at 21, you said you started in real estate game at 21. Did you immediately know to join a mastermind? I mean, 20 years ago, these weren't as popular as they are today, but was there something that helped you?
I I was watching late night infomercials, and it was
Yep.
Robert Allen with No Money Down. It was that, or I think there was George Foreman Grill, and they were doing some
Hi,
exercising.
master.
So I went and I went to a seminar. And, they had at the Marriott. They had a little afternoon event. You sign up, and then you do a 3-day boot camp, and that was a couple $1,000, which was at the time was a lot of money. And then I joined their Enlightened Millionaire Institute, and I started just dove into the world. Like I at 21, and I had already tried college. It didn't go so well for me. I had a little too much fun, and we decided that I needed a break. And I tried. I went to college. I got kicked out twice and dropped out the third time. Like I chose real estate. Like I look at my options. I can spend $50,000 to $100,000 to go get a degree, to go get a job that makes $80,000 a year, or I can spend $50,000 and learn this skill, learn real estate, and have a real chance of building wealth. And millions of dollars and hundreds of deals later, I think I made the right choice.
So when did you crack the $1 million mark as either an earner or a net worth?
So I was 31, so it took 10 years.
Wow. So 1 decade. So let's look at this, people. You could have gone to college and stopped partying and actually got the degree. You could have got the degree, spent $150,000 on that, and then got a job making probably a third of what you spent. Let's be real, right? A third of what you spent, and it would have taken you the next decade or more to just pay off the debt and not creating any wealth. Or you could go invest $50,000, a third of what it, and learn from other mentors, masterminds, et cetera, like you did. And then within a decade, instead of having debt to pay it off, you have $1 million in the bank, or not necessarily in the bank. We don't keep it in the bank, but you know what I mean? Like you got $1 million in net worth. I think the option there that is option B. Let's take option B. Now, questions about, I got some questions about your success in this. You've obviously become, or you started something at 21, and you're 41 now, right? You've been doing this 20 years.
Correct, 20 years.
So you've been very successful. It only took you a decade to get to that $1 million mark. And now there's another decade has passed, and I'm sure it's even better now. I'm like, what is that one key that helped you unlock success? Like, if you had to narrow it down, like this one thing helped me be successful in real estate, what was it?
If I have to pick one, relationships, networking. Wow. I joined the RIA. I went to the RIA as a kid that knew nothing and attached myself to people who were doing what I wanted to do. And we, as a result, made millions of dollars based on those relationships that I built in that room. And
you were you were president of the Tulsa Real Estate Investors Association at some point.
Years down the line. I joined the club in like 2011, and I became an elder, so to speak. Just seasoned investor who was on the board, and then there was some unfortunate health issues with the president at the time. In 2017 is when I took over In 2020 is whenever 21 is whenever I passed the baton. So I spent about 4 years in the president's role.
And how do you, so talking about success, everybody's got different definitions. How do you, Marc Ruiz, how do you define success?
It's funny how that's changed over the years. When I
Yeah.
was younger, when I started, it was about how much money do you make? How many houses do you have? How busy are you? I used to think that my phone ringing all the time and me just being like super plugged in was, success. And at some point, and it's actually, I take this back. It was after my daughter was born, because I'm a workaholic. I work 16, 20 hours a day for well over a decade. Like, I put into work. Nowadays, what I consider success is time. Like, I control my schedule. I control my time. Up until my first daughter was born, I know the moment that it changed. My wife said, "You can work weekends or you can be married." And I said, "I'll get back to you on Monday." And she didn't think it was funny.
No, that would not be funny. It's
But
funny now. Wasn't funny then.
it's funny now. But yeah, it dawned on me. It's like, what's all the money in the house is worth if you're dead or by yourself? So my answer to that question, what is success? My success is living my life by design. I work more than most working people, but I'm more retired than most retired people. I control my schedule. I work when I want, where I want, how I want, and my life revolves around my kids. Like, I take off, I take my kids to school. I pick them up from school. I don't miss performances. I mean, we just had recital season. I was at every freaking dress rehearsal there was. My daughter's cheerleader. I don't miss games.
How old are your kids?
3 and 7.
Man, those are interesting and fun times, dude. They go so fast. My kids are 24 and 21 now, so enjoy those times, man. Well, so you define success. If you like, call that down to one sentence, what would you say success is? Just so that we're clear on what you believe it is. Time. All right. So now, if you believe that success is time, do you consider yourself to be successful?
Yes.
Nice. Now, I want to give you the opportunity to put your consulting hat on. You've been very successful 2 decades in real estate. Got a lot of entrepreneurs listening to the show. What is your best piece of advice? What would you say? Do this and you're going to be great. What's that best piece that Marc could give?
Network. Get to know people. And I'm a student of Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
And
I saw his picture behind you on your shelf somewhere.
Yeah, he's. I'm a big believer in coaching. To this day, I still spend 6 figures on coaching. Like, I believe in information. I believe in growth. I believe in educating yourself. I don't believe in the school system, but I believe in education. Like, absolutely. I've been in part of more masterminds. I mean, I believe, and Robert Allen taught me this. I don't want you to draw me a map or tell me how to go. I want you to show me. I want you to take me by the hand. So find, mentoring, find masterminds, get in the group, in the room. As Tony Robbins says, your life is a direct reflection of the expectation of your peer group. Said differently, you are who you hang out with. You are who you spend your time with.
Well, and that goes back to that last comment that you made, you are who you spend your time with, goes back to the beauty of a mastermind, because you're only going to get as good as the people who you're hanging out with. I think it was Jim Rohn who said it. I mean, Brian Kelly said it. Zig Ziglar said it. I mean, every major guy said you're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. So who are you hanging out with? And you're either the smartest guy in that group or you're the dumbest guy in that group. And the idea is you want to be, and we're using those terms, tongue in cheek, but you want to be on the lower end of that so that they're pulling you up, that they're pushing you to new heights.
Well,
so
if you do top out, I mean, there's nothing, not to say that there's not benefits to being in the room, but it is time for you to go to the next room.
Yeah. I had a mentor teach me that years ago, and I'd never heard that. I'd always been told or thought that, try to be the smartest, the most impressive, the wealthiest, the sharpest dressed in the room. And I never really thought about it any other way. So I'd attempted to be that. And in most cases I was that, but then I had him in my life and he's like, no, you need to be the least person in that room. Because if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong rooms, because you're never going to outgrow. You can't outgrow that room. You're already above it. Like, you can't outgrow it. So ruggedrealestateinvestors.com is how you can get in touch with Mark and look at his way to get an education in real estate. And I agree with what you said earlier, Mark. You can't, we believe in education, just not the traditional education route, because the college system is rigged. It's not teaching people how to become millionaires through real estate, or how to buy and own and run businesses. So congratulations on all your success. I'm going to give you, before we sign off for the show today, I want to give you the last word. Anything you want to say to the audience before we sign off today?
Well, I want to encourage people to find the right room, to find that group that inspires them and then challenges and then holds you accountable. Just because you're inspired doesn't mean that, discipline, inspiration only lasts so long. Accountability and discipline is what's going to take you there.
That's good stuff. Well, big thanks to Mark for being on the show today. Again, I want to encourage you to take a look at his stuff at ruggedrealestateinvestors.com, ruggedrealestateinvestors.com. And he's on Instagram at Rugged Real Estate, and on TikTok at Rugged Real Estate. So check him out there. Listen, if you are a listener to the show who is interested in real estate, I've had literally dozens and dozens and dozens of guests on the show who have been professionals and experts in the real estate game. And if you are still sitting here listening today, as we just talked to Mark about this, and you have not taken action, this is your fault. You've had way too many opportunities listening to this show and other shows to tap into one of these guys. So I'm calling you out. Right now, as soon as this show's over, I want you to type in your browser on your phone, wherever you're listening to this, ruggedrealestateinvestors.com. Reach out, start the process. It took him 2 decades to get where he is today, but it only took him a decade to hit that $1 million mark. Every day you wait is a day you're not experiencing the life that you want. So make sure that you do that. So thank you for listening. I'm really appreciative of you being here, listening, watching, wherever you're tuning into the show. Thank you for being here. Listen to what the guy says at the end of the show, the outro guy. But until next time, as always, I'm the real Jason Duncan, and Jesus is King.
Thank you for listening to another edition of The Root of All Success with the real Jason Duncan. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, visit therootofallsuccess.com to access the show notes and other helpful resources. Follow Jason on social media at The Real Jason Duncan. See you again next time here on The Root of All Success.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.